Welcome to my Burning Crusade pre-patch Paladin leveling guide, where I'll cover the gear and talents I like to use, useful tips and tricks, and my route in between level 1 to 60. Alright, so when you log in, there's many different things you can do. At the launch date there will be many people here, which is why you could ask a mage for a portal or a warlock to summon you to another starting zone, but it's important you're choosing the right starting zone. The reason being that Orgrimmar has a Paladin trainer, but Thunderbluff and Undercity doesn't, which is why those starting areas will definitely not be useful if you wish to increase your leveling speed. What about those of you who don't wish to swap starting zone? Well, what you can do instead is to quickly head to the nearest mailbox. It is of course only useful for those of you who have prepared items with enchants or different consumables, such as the explosive rockets. These are so insane at low level as they're dealing a high amount of damage and being AoE. So what we can do is to quickly pull many enemies, use the rocket and level up a lot quicker. Even though we are spending a bit of time heading to the mailbox, well then the moment you have picked up these, you will definitely catch up. Else I'm picking up items with enchants, consumables, bags and a bit of gold. And then I will be using my Hearthstone back to the starting area and I'm now ready to start questing. I would recommend you to enchant your weapon with Fiery. It has a high chance to proc 40 instant damage, and as you can see, it's basically a one shot in the beginning. Another decent weapon enchant is Crusader. Just be aware it has a lower proc chance, but when it procs, it's going to heal you for a high amount and increase your strength by 100 for 15 seconds. So during this buff, you will basically be one-shotting the enemies as well. I'm planning to use Fiery Weapon up to around level 30, where I then swap to Crusader as it starts to perform a lot better. I would highly recommend you to use the consumable Frog Legs Stew. It can be used at level 1 and it's restoring an insane amount of health. As you can see right here, I'm level 10 and back to full health in next to no time. The reason why these are so insane is because the health it restores is equal to level 25 food. Always try to kite the target to the next one you plan to kill. This is being done to my right, so the moment I finish the first target, I'm ready to pull the next one. Where to my left, I'm standing still, killing the target, and then spending 3 or 4 seconds running to the other one. So to my right, I'm honestly leveling a lot faster. In a moment, I'll cover my different talent trees, but first I would like to highlight an insane leveling guide. The one I'm using right here will be left in the description. It's guiding you through the best possible route to quickly reach level 60 in the pre-patch, and it will continue to work in the Burning Crusade all the way up to level 70. There's an arrow guiding you in the direction you gotta head to. Quest text has been shortened to make it easier for you to understand. You just follow the different steps, and those will be shown on your map as well, indicating where you gotta head to and exactly what you need to do. Like I mentioned, then there's a free version you can download by using the link below the video, and there's a full version you can buy that works all the way up to max level, including reputation farms, an easy to follow dungeon leveling guide, and like it wasn't enough, a preparation guide for those of you who would like to reach level 62 within an hour of the Burning Crusade release. If you wish to get the full version, then you will automatically get a discount by using the link below the video. This helps me as a content creator so I can spend more time on new videos and guides. Alright, moving on to my talent trees. You can spend your first point either into Holy, Protection or Retribution, and I would recommend you to level as Retribution at least up to 16, where Holy and Protection is getting a lot better for dungeon farming, but Retribution is going to be our solo leveling build. Therefore, it's going to be the first talent tree I'll cover, and this is how I spend each individual point as I'm leveling up. At max level, my talent tree looks like this. What about Protection? Well, as I'm leveling up, I'll be choosing the talents in this order. But like I mentioned earlier in the video, I would recommend you to level as Retribution, at least up to 16, then you could respec for dungeon farming. The reason being that at level 16 we have unlocked important abilities, such as Righteous Fury and a new spell in Burning Crusade, Righteous Defense, which allows you to taunt. But because we unlock both of these spells by default, well, then you don't even need to be Protection to tank low level dungeons. You can do just fine as Retribution, as long as you have got yourself a one-hand weapon and a shield. What about Holy? Well, this is the worst for solo leveling in the open world. There's no reason to choose this specialization unless you're leveling together with someone or you're planning to dungeon farm all the way up to 60. Another thing to be aware of is that Consecration is learned by default and no longer being a Holy talent. Exactly why Protection and Retribution will be quicker for leveling, as you have got access to this spell no matter what. Alright, moving on to my leveling. At level 11 I would recommend you to head to Ghostlands, or at least at level 12. Before you head to Ghostlands, make sure to go to Silvermoon City and pick up your Paladin specific quest. This is a quest chain where you will eventually unlock Redemption, which is useful for those of you who will be leveling with other people. No matter what, then you should swap to Ghostlands at level 12, as we can stay here all the way up to 20 without having to swap zones. Not only are we gaining a lot of experience, but most quests here are rewarding us with a green upgrade. This won't be the same case in other zones at this level range. And like it wasn't enough, at the end you will be rewarded with a rare weapon. The moment you have looted this rare weapon, you're ready to swap to another zone to continue your leveling journey. What zones could you head to? Well, those are listed right here, and you can see all the different zones you can head to from level 1 and to 60 to level up efficiently. But I am of course following the leveling add-on I mentioned earlier in the video. Moving on to the gear I will be using to level as efficient as possible. Try to stick to the same weapon types. I like to go for two-hand swords as a Retribution Paladin, as there's so many different variations you can buy through the auction house, where if you use different weapon types, you will be swapping between those and all of a sudden need to level up different weapon skills to make sure you can hit the enemies, and this will reduce your leveling speed. If you don't have a lot of gold, then I would any day be buying a new weapon over a new chest or another armor piece. The reason why a weapon is more important to go for is not only that it increases your stats just like an armor piece, but it's increasing your damage or well your DPS, so you're getting two benefits instead of one. What stats should you be going for? If you wish to increase your survivability, you go for stamina, but in my case I prefer to go for more DPS, so strength that increases my attack power and agility that increases my critical strike chance. Luckily there's items improving both of those stats, and they're called of the Tiger. That being said, you shouldn't only be going for strength and agility, as stamina and intellect will still be important. And this is where we could buy items called of the Eagle, as those are increasing your stamina and intellect. Those of you who would like to heal in dungeons should pick items called of the Owl. Intellect increases your mana pool, and Spirit your mana regeneration. Moving on to some useful tips and tricks. Even though we unlock Consecration by default, then you shouldn't always be using this, at least not when you're fighting one target. It costs too much mana compared to the damage it does. It starts to get way better when you're fighting multiple targets, and especially 3 or more. What about auras? Well, I prefer to use Devotion Aura when I'm just fighting one target, and whenever there's 2 targets or more, I swap to Retribution. What about blessings? Well, I mainly use Blessing of Wisdom to sustain at a high amount of mana. I know Blessing of Might is amazing to increase your kill speed, as it increases your attack power, but then again, you will probably be fighting multiple targets when you're leveling up, and this is where Blessing of Wisdom is amazing together with Consecration. Whenever you're fighting a target that has a flee mechanic, then it's important you keep your Hammer of Justice, so you can prevent it from running into other enemies and pulling those. Else, I always use my Hammer of Justice whenever it's off cooldown to prevent as much damage as possible, so I don't need to heal all the time. Those of you playing Retribution should combine Hammer of Justice together with Seal of Command. A Seal of Command, or well, the Judgment, does additional damage against a stunned target. What about prior to unlocking Seal of the Command? Well, I honestly don't like to use Seal of the Crusader when I'm just fighting a target that dies quickly. Instead, I'll be using Seal of Righteousness. But against an elite or something that won't die too quickly, you'll benefit a lot from the debuff that you apply by using your Seal of the Crusader. And whenever I start to struggle with my mana, I just use a Seal of Wisdom. There's different things we can buy on the auction house to instantly complete quests. For example, at level 23, you can head to Ashenwell, and here we hand in the different pages. There's a total of 12, and those you buy on the auction house or farm in the zone. If you purchase them on the auction house, you can instantly complete this quest and get a lot of experience. At level 28, you can head to Hillspread Foothills, where you hand in 10 turtle meat and 1 soothing spice. The spice is purchased through a vendor. But overall, it is amazing to prepare these things so you can instantly complete those quests, and there's many more things to be done in the neutral zones. Those I will soon be covering in my pre-patch leveling guide from 1 to 60, including many other useful tips and tricks you definitely don't want to miss. And on my channel, there will be so many more Burning Crusade videos I would recommend you to watch, and soon a lot more, so make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. As always, thank you so much for watching, and have an amazing day. Peace.